Liz Cheney has a book out. I'm noticing the parade of horribles in the media right now about Donald Trump. And it is a parade of horribles that is coming out. The Atlantic is running an issue about how Donald Trump is an existential threat to democracy. They are accusing him of being in Xi Jinping's pocket now. It's no longer Vladimir Putin. It's now China that wants him elected. If he's elected, Poland will be invaded by Russia. It's a parade of horribles the media has decided that they want to scare people with. The problem here, in all honesty, the problem is that we're in chaos right now. Not only are we in chaos right now with Joe Biden, but people remember Donald Trump's presidency. And yeah, everybody was afraid he would start World War III on Twitter, but he didn't. He killed Qasem Soleimani, which was a good thing. His foreign policy was more grown up, more realistic, more realpolitik, as opposed to Joe Biden's some level of I don't even know what Joe Biden is. His foreign policy is some left-wing wishful thinking that America wasn't the dominant country on the planet, which is part of the problem. So Liz Cheney can come out, and by the way, I like the Cheney family tremendously. I like Liz Cheney. I like her mom and dad. I know them. But I don't think this is persuasive. I think, if anything, what the people who are scared to death of Donald Trump don't understand is that they, by screaming as loudly as they are and the way they are, they're actually support Donald Trump. They don't realize they support Donald Trump. Now, I do think there's some, and I don't put Liz Cheney in this camp. I don't put her in this camp. But there are a lot of people, the Lincoln Project people and just certain op-ed people and editorialists around the country, who they're in a sick symbiotic relationship with Donald Trump. If he goes away, they go away. If he disappears, they disappear, and they don't want to disappear. They like their 15 minutes of fame, so they need to keep Trump's presidency alive. They need to keep him alive. They need to do whatever they can to help Donald Trump. I don't really think Liz Cheney's in that place. I think she actually does believe that Donald Trump is the threat that she believes he is, but I think that she lacks reading the room. That if anything, Liz Cheney going after Donald Trump right now, it's not persuasive to the persuadable voters of America, because they're not really paying attention and they've heard all this stuff before. So she can be part of the left-wing echo chamber, and those people are already not going to vote for Donald Trump. And if anything, it causes the right to rally more around Donald Trump when you have people like Liz Cheney coming after him. Because fairly or not, they blame her father and her brand of Republicans for ruining the Republican Party. And then you have the parade of horribles from the Atlantic. The Donald Trump is going to usher in a dictatorship. No one really believes Donald Trump is going to usher in a dictatorship. He'll be term limited. They say, but he will leave office. Okay, so Donald Trump will leave office. He will refuse to leave office. Let's just play this out. In the real world, let's play this out. Donald Trump will leave office. Do you really believe that the Joint Chiefs of Staff would tolerate that? Do you really believe the United States Supreme Court would tolerate that? Do you really believe the Congress would tolerate that? Do you really believe the 50 state governors would tolerate that? Do you really believe the people of the United States would tolerate that? Do you really believe the Secret Service would tolerate that? If Donald Trump can, at the end of a second term, refuse to leave office and establish a dictatorship, you must believe that every institution of government has failed, not just the presidency. And what you're essentially saying is that America itself is at an end, because neither the military nor the courts nor the politicians of the 50 states nor the federalist processes of the country nor the legislatures of the country will do anything, nor the people of the country. And what you are really saying is that you believe the people of the country have screwed up, and therein lies the rub. It is plain as day and obvious for everyone that the American media despises the American people. The elite in this country no longer trust the people, value the people, believe in the judgment of the people. They're playing to their own crowd that the rubes of this country, the people who live within 100 miles of an American river valley, cannot be trusted in our democratic institutions. For all of the talk of democracy in this country, the media itself and the elite in this country who write at places like The Atlantic and go on shows like Morning Joe, they don't really trust the people of the country overall. The only way they trust the people of the country is if we listen to the urban coastal elite and ignore the people in the heartland and the concerns of the people in the heartland. They want to lecture us all the time that crime's really not that bad. It's just a figment of Fox News. They want to lecture us all the time now about Israel and the Jews. I mean, for God's sakes, you saw what happened on October 7th. I've seen the pictures and video footage, and you've got all the elite in this country say, well, Israel can't really defend itself. You've got the editorialist at the New York Times saying, well, I mean, none of the women who claim to have been raped in Israel have really come forward to talk about it. Well, they can't because they put bullets in their head after raping them, you idiot. These people are vile people. Now, look, I'm not talking about Cheney here. I like Cheney. I like her family. But I think that their brand of Republican politics is in the past. And the Republican people, the Republican voters of today want to move to something else. And bashing Donald Trump for all the things you don't like about him just really gets a rise out of the Republicans who want to circle the wagons. If you want to defeat Donald Trump, honestly, ignore him. But they can't bring themselves to ignore him because it's a sick symbiotic relationship. And meanwhile, they're tearing down everyone else. It's notable how much energy is spent by members of the media attacking Ron DeSantis and Nikki Haley. You want a viable alternative to Donald Trump, except the problem is you see every alternative to Donald Trump being just as bad as Donald Trump. You have no ability to nuance in the media. Every parade of horribles you say Donald Trump would usher in, you say any Republican would usher in, and your only alternative is to vote for Joe Biden, a man who thinks boys can become girls and has sent the world into chaos. You talk about Donald Trump bringing chaos to this country, and Joe Biden has allowed Israel, Iran, and Venezuela to fund oil sales that are funding invasions of other countries. For all of the chaos you say Donald Trump would unleash on the world and he would be in the pocket of Xi Jinping, it's the Democrats who are the ones who are doing all the chaos. It's Joe Biden, not Trump, who didn't respond aggressively when Xi Jinping sent a spy balloon over this country. It's Joe Biden, not Donald Trump, who refuses to do anything about TikTok, which we know for certain is a surveillance app by the Chinese government that is also being used to indoctrinate American children and brainwash them into hostility against this country and embrace of transgenderism and all sorts of other nonsense. And Joe Biden does nothing. The world is on fire. We've descended into chaos. And the media is fixated on Donald Trump. The media is broken. We know they're broken. We know they're on the left. We know Donald Trump broke their brains. They're still useful in getting news and information from them, but the obsessiveness of it. I've got CNN on the background here. They've got Jonathan Karl from ABC News now talking about his book on Donald Trump in 2024. They've got a banner about Representative Liz Cheney being on with Anderson Cooper tonight. They've been running her broadcast from MSNBC this morning. They're questioning whether democracy is at stake. It's like crying wolf, and they can't stop crying wolf. The parade of horribles about Donald Trump. Meanwhile, the world is on fire thanks to Joe Biden. Israel was invaded by Hamas thanks to Joe Biden. Venezuela is about to invade its next door neighbor thanks to Joe Biden. Thanks to Joe Biden, the U.S. Navy's been under relentless attack in the Red Sea. Thanks to Joe Biden, we've got riots in the streets of this country that go unpunished, unfazed. What have they done to the people who tried to bust into the DNC? We have crime in cities out of control in this country from progressive prosecutors who back Joe Biden, who backs them. The only thing that Joe Biden and his administration are doing is dragging pro-lifers out of their houses at gunpoint and prosecuting them. They won't even prosecute the people who threaten Supreme Court justices, except for the actual attempted assassination of Brett Kavanaugh. They wouldn't have done anything. And the media wants you to believe that Donald Trump is a threat to democracy? If they were serious and intellectually honest, they would hold Joe Biden accountable, but they won't because they're so scared of Donald Trump coming back to office. The very rich irony of all of this is that they themselves are the people most likely to embolden Donald Trump and put him back in office. They don't even see it. He's broken them.